Hello everyone, welcome back to Sai Homeschool. Before going to the session, please like, share and subscribe my channel Sai Homeschool. Okay, today session is the another topic from chemical reactions and equation, that is types of chemical reactions. In these types of chemical reactions, we have four types of chemical reactions. One, it is combination reaction, decomposition reaction, displacement reaction and double displacement reaction. We will discuss briefly each and every type of chemical reaction. First type of chemical reaction is combination reaction. Name itself indicates, we know that the combination means, what is meant by combination? There are two or more reactants to form a single product. That is, here what will happen in the combination reaction is, there are two or more reactants are going to react, then it will form a only single product. So for example, if I take calcium oxide, that is also called as a quick lime. When it is reacts with H2O, it will become a slaked lime. A slaked lime is also called as calcium hydroxide. We will get what is happening here is, there are two reactants, means calcium oxide and H2O. Both are going to react. We are getting a calcium hydroxide. That is slacked lime. Here we got only one product, right? So that is called combination reaction. You should write the balanced chemical equation. Whenever you will write the chemical equations, you should check whether it is balanced or not. If you check here, so calcium at the reactant side, calcium at the product side is balanced. Oxygen, here is one oxygen atom, here is one oxygen atom, here it will be two. Reactant side also 2, it is balanced. Hydrogen will be here 2 hydrogen atoms, here also it is 2 hydrogen atoms. It is a balanced chemical equation. If you won't balance, without balancing, if you write, if it is unbalanced equation, if you keep it as it is in the examination, you never get a marks. You should check whether the balanced chemical equation or not. If it is unbalanced chemical equation, you should balance. That is. Now, what is meant by combination reaction is, when two or more reactants combine to form a single product, that is called combination reaction. In this combination reaction, sometimes it will be exothermic reactions. It will be takes place in this combination reaction. What is exothermic? Exothermic reactions means, when the reaction takes place, are reactions in which heat is released along with the formation of products. That is, if you observe here, so if the any two or more reactants are going to combine to form a new product, at that time there is a liberation of heat. That is called exothermic reaction. See, formation of a product called exothermic reactions. So heat is released when the reaction takes place along with the products. So one example we can take here, burning of natural gas. That is methane CH4. When it is reacts with oxygen, it will give carbon dioxide plus H2O. There we will observe a heat. The liberation of heat will be takes place. Then, so when after we are taking a food, we know that it will get digested. During digested, what will happen? Food will be break down into a simpler substances in our stomach. Along with that, it will release some carbohydrates in our body. to form a glucose. So when these carbohydrates, we will get energy after eating a food, no? That after digesting the food, the carbohydrates will be liberated. Then this glucose combines with the oxygen. So when the glucose released in our body after the digestion, this glucose will be combined with the oxygen in our body and it will produce energy, right? So when we take a food, we will get energy because of these all process. Means after eating a food, that food will be get break down into a small pieces. Then it will liberate the carbohydrates in your body. That carbohydrates is break down to form a glucose. That glucose again combines with the oxygen and it will release the energy. Here if you observe C6H12O6 is a molecular formula of glucose. Sometimes they may ask what is the molecular formula of glucose. This is important. You should remember the molecular formula. This glucose in our body, we, when we are, it will be reacts with oxygen in our body. It gives a carbon dioxide will liberate, then H2O, then energy. Heat will be released in the form of energy. So one more example. So this of decomposition of the vegetables into a compost. There also there will be a release of energy in the form of heat, that is also called a exothermic reactions. Second type of chemical reaction, it is decomposition reaction. So decomposition reaction, name itself indicates decompose. What is happening here? Breaking down. Here only one single reactant breaks down into two or more products. It is totally opposite to the combination reaction. So if you observe the ferrous sulfate solution, if it heat the ferrous sulfate solution, it will liberate ferric oxide, SO2 and SO3. It will liberate. So here, so now what we can say for the decomposition reaction is when the reaction in which a single reactant get breakdown into a two or more product. Breakdown simply, if I take a ferrous sulfate solution, ferrous sulfate, is it breakdown simply? Itself, is it possible to break down? No. What we have to do is we have to apply some energy. So this always the decomposition reactions will be takes place by using some energy. That we'll see under what are the types of energies will be involved in this decomposition reaction. Then if you take here one example for decomposition reaction, if I take one test tube with the water. So you have to take a water in the test tube. You start boiling. So what will happen? Is it the water will be same? No. So what it will be means H2O will become hydrogen and hydrogen gas will be liberated and oxygen gas will be liberated. Here also by applying a heat energy. That here what is happening? Ferrous sulfate crystals you have to take, you have to burn in a test tube. So you will get a ferrous sulfate crystals. Sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide will be get evaporated. That is decomposition reaction. One more example. Calcium carbonate is also called a limestone. So these names also you should remember what is called calcium oxide. Calcium oxide is called a lime or quicklime, but calcium carbonate we will call it as a limestone. These crystals. This decomposition reaction also takes place by heating. So there is a three types will become under this decomposition reaction. Always decomposition reaction takes place by applying energy, no? That energy we will apply in the form of heat, or maybe in the form of electricity, or maybe with the sunlight. So these three types of chemical reaction, what we will call it as. So if we decomposition reactions will be takes place by heating. By heating. That is called thermal decomposition. Name itself thermal means it is a heat. Thermal decomposition. Here one example it is calcium carbonate. If you start heating this calcium carbonate, we will get a calcium oxide. Calcium oxide is nothing but quick lime, and carbon dioxide gas will be liberated. So whether it is a decomposition reaction or not, you have to check. One single reactants break down into two or more products. It is a decomposition reaction. The decomposition reaction takes place by using heat, that is called thermal decomposition. Then one more example, lead nitrate. You have to take lead nitrate. You start heating this lead nitrate, you will get lead oxide, nitrogen dioxide, and oxygen as a products. That is called thermal decomposition. Means it will be the decomposition reaction will be takes place by using heat. Then another type of decomposition reaction is by using electricity. That by using electricity, if the decomposition reaction takes place, that is called electrolysis. This electrolysis, how it will be takes place. I will explain this activity to understand the electrolysis decomposition reaction. Electrolysis of water. You have to take water in one beaker, or then you have to take two graphite rods. So to these two graphite rods you should connect to the battery. One graphite rod you should connect it to the negative terminal of the battery. One graphite rod you should connect to the positive terminal of the battery. That where you connected one graphite rod to the negative terminal. If you connect the graphite rod to the negative terminal, that is called cathode. It is a negative terminal of the battery. This is positive terminal of the battery. So positive terminal of the battery connected to one side of the rod, that will be anode. Negative terminal of the battery will be connected to the another graphite rod, that is cathode. See here, then you have to take a two test tubes. You put the graphite rods in the water, no? Then you should connect it to the battery. Then you have to take two test tubes that you have to keep by closing these graphite rods. Reversible, you should keep the test tubes to these two graphite rods. Then what will happen? You just observe that it will be, there are two cathode and anodes, it will be present. So where the, here if you take a H2O water, what will happen? If you take H2O, what you are doing is, for this water, there is in the water, H2O is the formula for water. Hydrogen, oxygen gas will be present here. What is happening? H2O is going to break down and getting a hydrogen and oxygen separately. That is what, after observing that, here you will get oxygen in one test tube, then hydrogen in another test tube. That is what the decomposition reaction means. H2O becomes hydrogen plus oxygen. This decomposition reaction takes place by using electricity. Do we get the hydrogen and oxygen? If you observe here, is there the oxygen gas and hydrogen gas is you will getting same portions here? No. Why? Because the ratio of water H2O, it itself indicates 2 is to 1. Ratio of hydrogen and oxygen in the water is 2 is to 1. The formula of water is H2O. So we never get a same portion of hydrogen and oxygen if you use electricity to break the H2O. You will not get equal portions of H2 and hydrogen gas. Then another third type of decomposition reaction it is by using sunlight. That decomposition reaction takes place under three energy by using three energy. No? One it is heat, that is called thermal decomposition. One it is electricity, that is called electrolysis of water. Another it is sunlight. So if we the decomposition reaction takes place by using a sunlight or in the presence of sunlight, that is called a photochemical reactions. Photochemical reactions. So here you can observe one example here. Silver chloride AgCl in the presence of sunlight. You should mention whether it is by using electricity or by using heat or by using sunlight. So you will get a Ag plus Cl2. Ag as a crystals, you will get silver, then chlorine as a gas. So if you see here, silver silver chloride in a china dish, you keep it for a sunlight. If you observe here it is a silver chloride. For that silver chloride, we are putting this china dish into the sunlight. What will happen? The chlorine gas present in this silver chloride will get evolved. Then we will get a Ag as it is. Then one more same thing by using sunlight. Silver bromide. Silver bromide in the presence of sunlight we will get a bromine gas and silver. That is one single reactant get breaks down into two or more products by using a sunlight is called photochemical reactions. So here if you observe this electrolysis, so if you observe this electrolysis, what is happening? You should write H2O gives rise to hydrogen plus oxygen. You will write the equation for this and send me in a comment box. Hydrogen water that gives rise to H2 plus O2. Then you should check the whether the equation is balanced or not. So AgCl, it will become Ag plus Cl2. Here we'll get a 2 chlorine atoms. Here we'll get only 1 chlorine. Then you have to write balance chlorine atom. You should write 2 here. Then Ag will be 1. So you have to balance the Ag. That is chemical decomposition reaction. So what is happening here? Exothermic reactions, we already studied in that combination reactions. Exothermic reactions are nothing but while reactions taking place, what we are getting? Energy in the form of heat as a liberation of heat. That is called exothermic. Now exothermic is liberation of heat. Then here what we are doing in the decomposition reaction. So decomposition requires energy either in the form of heat, light or electricity to break down the reactants. These reactions in which energy is absorbed, it is taking energy to break down the molecule. That is called endothermic. Now you should know the difference between exothermic and endothermic is exothermic reactions are nothing but while reaction takes place along with the product, the energy will be liberated, heat will be liberated in the form of energy. Here what is happening? To break down or to decompositions will be required energy in the form of heat or maybe light or maybe electricity, that is called endothermic reactions. These two reactions are very important for your exam purpose. You have to know that whether the reaction should be balanced or not. What I said before, if the reaction is not balanced, then it should not be, you will not get it in the marks in the exams. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe my channel.